looking at the screen.
Good evening, Littleton. Welcome to Select Board meeting for August 9th, 2021. First item on the agenda tonight is executive session, so we'll be opening up, as we are right now, in our open session. We'll be going immediately into executive session and then coming back approximately 6:30 to go into our regularly scheduled meeting. So I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session at this time.
Do you want me to, Joe?
Go ahead.
Okay. Move that the Select Board vote pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to go into executive session to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if the chair declares that an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
Chair does so declare.
And to resume in
Resume into open session.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, Mr. Knox?
Aye.
Napoli?
Aye.
The chair's in favor. So we are going into executive session, folks. We'll be back live at about 6:30. Thank you.
Swarthy. Hey, Tom. Who's that guy next to you? I haven't.
This guy is Elvis.
I just haven't seen him around.
That's one.
All right, we're live here, people. Welcome back, folks, to the Select Board meeting of August 9th, 2021. We just exited executive session. We are now into our open session. As we do, I'd like to open with pledge to the flag. Mr. Clerk, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Matthew. Okay, I'll do a quick rundown of the agenda. So, a little behind schedule, so we'll try to make up some time here. We have Department of Board updates as, well, first we're going to, read the mail, part of the organization. We'll get Department of Board updates, update from the Transportation Advisory Council. So, Mr. LaCroix here, thank you. Elder and Human Services has a couple of items on the updates. Department of Public Works has a couple of items, 3 items. PRCE, Parks, Recreation, and Community Education. It's in front of us. Police and Fire, both here with more donations, acceptance of donations, which we appreciate. We will then have an opportunity for public input, which we will have a public input session for 10 minutes, and I hope that everybody understands that you come to the microphone, raise your hand, be recognized by the chair, and then if I call on you, come to the microphone, introduce yourself, give your name and address, and then there's a 2-minute limit with a total of 10 minutes for public input. Then the member updates will come after public input. After that, we have a host community agreement discussion for a cannabis establishment on Great Road. After that, we have some items on the special town meeting. We're actually going to be calling the special town meeting for October 25th and discussing the personnel bylaw amendment. After that, we have town administrator, assistant town administrator updates with appointing a representative to the MBTA advisory board. There's going to be some discussion about planning, signature of a quitclaim deed for some land that has been deeded open space on the K property. We will have somebody from the 13th annual Littleton Road Race looking to use the town hall parking lot, which we would be approving, and then we'll look at the schedule for select board meetings for the rest of the year, and then we'll be looking at the minutes for a few of our past meetings and hopefully approving those minutes, and then anticipating adjournment sometime around 9 p.m. So, Mr. Ansaldi, if you could take us away with the mail that was received.
Sure. Thank you, Chuck. There's 4 items. The first item was Comcast letting us know that we're going to have a new representative from Comcast to the town. The Patrick Shearns will be the Senior Manager of Government Affairs and will be our liaison. We also received a letter regarding a town of emergency connectivity fund. How this works is the program will reimburse schools and libraries for reasonable costs. The eligible equipment and broadband connections used to help students, staff, and patrons who otherwise lack access to be able to engage in remote learning. Who's eligible? Well, that's schools and libraries. And what's covered is that the fund will reimburse reasonable costs of eligible equipment such as Wi-Fi hotspots, modems, routers, and devices that combine a modem and router, connected devices, and eligible broadband connections. So we'll forward that off to the library and the school department. And the last item was an update that Interim Fire Chief Clancy received from DPH, which is the new mask advisory that took effect on July 30th, which basically says fully vaccinated individuals are advised to wear a mask or face covering when indoors outside of your home if you have weakened immune system or at increased risk of COVID-19, or if someone in your household is at increased risk of or unvaccinated. And it talks about where masks are still mandatory, and it advises all unvaccinated residents to continue to wear masks in indoor settings and when they can't socially distance. For more information, you can visit the state's website. And that's all we have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Insaldi. All right, just lost my agenda. There we go. All right, we will roll into department board updates. And first up, we have the TAC, the Transportation Advisory Council. Discuss board membership. Mr. LaCroix is here.
Gary.
Gary, could you just come to the microphone? Yeah, thank you, appreciate it.
Good evening, Gary LaCroix, 15 Mill Road, Chair of Transportation Advisory Council. So I asked for time to meet with you guys today to talk a little bit about membership of the Transportation Advisory Council and just basically have a discussion about how we might want to, if we want to consider any changes down the road. I spoke with you around June to discuss this at an earlier meeting. That was related to a different, more related to a different topic relating to support for the what was it called? A technical subsistence grant or support that we would receive. We actually received from MAPC for our initiative on the landline, the Neshoba Regional Greenways. But in relationship to the membership, right now we have 9 members. We have 3 at large and representatives from the Finance, BPAC, Select Board, Planning, Elder Services, and Disability Commissions. So when I approached Mr. Ansaldi about membership, I was proposing at the time, throw out the idea of maybe swapping out the Disability Commission because they've been poorly attending the meetings in the last 3 years. But since then, Ms. Crory has stepped up and said, yeah, we need to do a better job there, and she has found a new person to represent them. So they re-energized it that they will support this council and attend more regularly. So I'm happy to hear that. That's great. It's good to have that representation on there.
It's going to be George Sanders, right?
George Sanders,
He
yes.
will attend.
Yeah, yes, I'm sure he will be a good voice to participate in those sessions. But going forward, I see myself sunsetting, at least as a chair. I've been on it since 3 years, and I'd like to have some other things I need to be working on, including the Neshoba Regional Greenways, which I'm also the executive chair on as well, which is it's a big effort right now with over 14 communities trying to get that corralled. And so I want to step back, but still be participating in the TAC. And I just have concerns about, it's kind of like the nature of how this is structured, because it is representatives from other committees who are participating, and there's not going to be continuity necessarily unless, people constantly stay on the select board and stay in my group or the TAC for years. Typically, they get rotated around every year or two. So we're not going to have long-term sustainability there. And then we have 3 at-large positions. And luckily, 2 of us have stayed since the beginning, and that may maintain. But I've seen other communities who have TACs, and they seem to have people who've been there for a long time, and that kind of long-term continuity, I think, is necessary, because otherwise, it's very ephemeral of all these memberships, and a lot of people come to them from the other boards with just what is this? I don't know what this group does necessarily, and they're not going to necessarily maintain a sustained vision of what this might be. So I originally asked for here to swap out a disability commission with an at-large position, and I thought I'd at least use the time that was already reserved to at least talk about what we might want to do if you had some ideas going forward. Some ideas might be increasing the board membership by another at-large or two, or extending, or having no term limits on any at-large positions, or asking for members who come up from other councils to commit to a couple years. Or there's a couple of just ideas, but I'm open to suggestions.
Does anyone know why it's structured this way instead of a more typical, a number of residents and 1 or 2 board members?
That was the way it was structured, what's it been, 4 years before, 5 years ago?
It's been 3 years.
3 years?
It just came as a byproduct, Mr. Nordhaus, from the master plan committee, that there was also a history of not creating another committee that's not going to maybe participated in, supported with, and the idea here was that all these different boards have skin in the game when it comes to transportation issues, and to have a place where they could all communicate and get input from each other. And I think in that respect, it's worked well.
Yeah, I mean, Gary and I both served on the master plan committee together, and we didn't want to see the many transportation issues that popped up in the master plan discussions fall through the cracks. And since, as you just spoke to, a lot of them have cross, responsibilities and interests, and certainly made sense then. And as you say, since these are the outfits that would be charged with implementing those decisions, it made sense to have them at the table rather than just citizens who might have an interest but not an ability to make it happen. So
Yeah.
if you think things have changed since
No,
then.
I think that's still legitimate, and just speaking, say, for those from the Bicycle Pedestrian Commission who have had interest in their bicycle pedestrian issues, one of the things they like about it is now they have a chance to have communications in here from the different, from the DBW Highway Department, as well as these other, and have a chance to communicate with Select Board and Planning and Finance and hear what's going on, and have a chance to speak up on those things. So I think, in that respect, I think it works well.
Do you get good attendance from the rest of the board members who are on there?
It varies based upon the not as so much an indicator of Select Board or Planning Board. It's really dependent upon the individual and their availability at the time that we have these meetings. And so it varies.
Gary, do you think it would be appropriate to change the 3 at-large to 5 at-large and try to get people who, like you said, would be interested for a longer period of time?
I think that's an option. I think that's definitely an option. The more you have, the more quorums become issues.
Yes.
And so as I understand it, with 9, we require 5 for quorum. If we have 10, we're going to require 6. Is that correct? So I'm open to that as a possibility. We had a at-large position for over a year because we had to recruit someone and get somebody on board. We have Ann Grace now, who's now the 3rd at-large position. So that would be a possibility, as long as if we don't fill it, it doesn't hold it against us in quorum positions. I guess that would be, I don't know if that's an option. If we have 11, say, assigned, and we have 2 that are just vacant, do I still need 6? See that, then I'm gonna get hurt that way.
We could probably structure something, though, where,
Like with the zoning board of appeals with lots of alternates?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where somebody is able to step in and be a voting member as an alternate. I think that's subject to chapter 40. That's Mass General Law that dictates the ZBA.
It is in that case, but that doesn't prevent us from doing the
Doing
same
their own
thing.
thing, yeah, that's true, yeah.
So maybe there's
Good
3 alternate citizens at large seats, and if you don't have if one of the citizens can't attend, one of the alternates can to make it to a quorum. I'm not sure that solves exactly the problem that you're looking for, no.
Oftentimes, and if you do have, say it's 3 alternates, and 2 out of those 3 show up religiously, that might give us the data we need to say, it might be, because if you go to 10 or you go to 11, your quorum's still gonna be 6.
Yep.
So it might give us the data we need to determine whether or not we actually make the change the membership to 11, 10 or 11, whatever it happens to be.
So what would that require to have, quote, alternate positions?
Vote of this board.
Yep, that's it, vote of the Select Board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have, when we would I know that the Conservation Trust folks have been coming as a interested party because we're dealing with trails and things like that. And so they didn't necessarily see a need to be like, represented officially, but maybe they might be interested in being one of these additional at-large positions as one option, so.
Could we make some of the board members of these committees alternates?
If you had some at-large members that were more engaged?
Just where we're getting a quorum, I mean.
Ad hoc members or something
Yeah,
like that?
I mean,
Well, right now, we do have I believe we have a second for planning board and a second for select board for the TAC presently. I think Mr. Glavy is the alternate for TAC, and I forget who it is from planning. Mr. Montanari is the alternate for planning.
I would advise that, bring that back to the committee and say, hey, this is something that was discussed, what do you guys think? And if there's buy-in from the committee, then it literally just takes us putting it on the agenda and taking a vote to change that number from 9 to 10 or 11, or whatever number you guys determine is the right number.
Or provide for
Or
alternates.
providing for alternates, yeah. I like that idea of having, proposing alternates to kind of, creep, crawl, walk, run. And if in fact you're getting those alternate members that are showing up, it works out quite well with the zoning board of appeals, and the reason it's in place as a general law is because oftentimes there's people who are building a home, or there's some sense of urgency, and there's a lot of money at stake, frankly. So an alternate can actually sit in. Once they sit in, they're the member that speaks to that,
Okay.
whatever case is before them.
Now, I know you oftentimes fill the positions in the June timeframe, but can we bypass that and do
We
something
can do it
sooner?
anytime.
Okay. That'd be fine. I can go back to our next meeting next month to discuss some of those options.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think that'd be good.
all right.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks, Gary.
Appreciate it. All right, next up, we have Elder and Human Services. Nicole, if you come to the microphone, appreciate it. You've got a couple of items on the agenda tonight.
Yes, so we have 2 gift donations. We received $529 from Ed Sweeney's for families in need, and we also received $931.58 from Kristen Grimes for the Tread Fund.
And obviously, thank you very much to Ed for
Yes.
continuing to support us.
Yes, we're so appreciative from Ed. His donations go to help families in Littleton, and also for Kristen Grimes, the Tread Foundation, the Tread Fund, goes to help people stay in Littleton to, help with their property taxes.
That's awesome. And just to give the Tread Fund a little plug, that is funded by donations. So if anybody out there is looking to help out in some way, shape, or form, reach out to Nicole Cervella, who's our interim Director of Elder and Human Services, or the department in general, or to the town administrator's office, and you can find out how that can happen. And it definitely helps out those in our backyards. So
Yes, absolutely.
thank you very much for presenting this. Entertain a motion.
I
To accept these.
move that the Select Board vote in accordance with its policy on solicitation and acceptance of monetary and non-monetary gifts for public purpose, to approve donations to the Department of Elder and Human Services, EHS, from Ed Sweeney's in the amount of $529 for families in need, and Kristen Grimes in the amount of $931.58 for Tread.
second.
Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. It was seconded by Mr. Knox. I want to make sure that our minute taker gets that. Okay, great. Nicole, thank you very much. And you also have,
I have one more thing to
Yeah.
read. On behalf of Littleton Elder and Human Services and the Littleton Coalition Against Addiction, I am requesting public recognition of National Recovery Month in September. National Recovery Month was launched in 1989 by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration to increase awareness surrounding mental health and substance use disorders. As you know, Littleton established the Littleton Coalition Against Addiction in 2017 and has offered resources and support to community members seeking assistance with substance use and mental health concerns. Over the past year nationally, overdose deaths have increased over 30%. in part as a result of the stress and isolation from the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition to requesting public recognition of Recovery Month, Elder and Human Services continues to work collaboratively with the Littleton Police Department on public service announcements and will run a Recovery Month specific PSA. We also have programming to celebrate, a movie that's going to be showing at Bay Park in September to celebrate Recovery Month. It is important to the department and the coalition for the community of Littleton to feel safe and welcomed in working towards recovery, speaking out about the reality of addiction and celebrating their recovery.
Thank you very much. And I believe we've got a proclamation which would kind of grant you your wish for making September. Do we take a motion first to put this in place and then read the proclamation?
Actually, it looks like reading the proclamation is part of the motion. I move that the Select Board vote to adopt September as National Recovery Month by issuing the following proclamation.
There you go.
Whereas mental and substance abuse disorders affect people of all ethnicities, ages, genders, geographic regions, and socioeconomic levels, and whereas the impact of mental and substance use disorders and co-occurring disorders is apparent in our local community, and whereas individuals need to learn help is available and that they can get better, both physically and emotionally, with the support of a welcoming community. And whereas through Recovery Month observance, people become more aware and able to recognize the signs of mental and substance abuse disorders and co-occurring disorders, and encourage people in need of treatment and recovery services to seek help. And whereas the Recovery Month observance continues to work to improve the lives of those affected by mental and substance abuse disorders and co-occurring disorders, by raising awareness of these disorders and educating communities about the effective treatment and recovery services that are available. And whereas by celebrating the annual National Recovery Month in September, families and communities can find hope and spread the message that recovery works. Now therefore, we, the Littleton Select Board, hereby encourage the citizens of Littleton to join in celebrating the month of September 2021 as National Recovery Month, issued this 9th day of August 2021, Littleton Select Board.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Seconded by Ms. Napoli, and the motion carries unanimously. Nicole, thank you very much. This is another example of, everybody thinks of what you guys do is just COA or just elders. This is truly human services, and I mean, addiction or substance abuse, mental illness is out there, and I think it's touched every one of us. And so thank you very much for bringing this before us and before the community.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Want to give her that? Sure.
Yes, Nicole, this is
Take that
Proclamation.
this is the proclamation.
Does it need to be signed, Chuck?
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We jump in the line?
Yeah, we didn't recognize you.
Hello.
Mr. Stoddard from the Department of Public Works.
Oh, yes, I'm Chris
Microphone is
Stoddard,
yours.
Director of Public Works. So I think the first item here is just the, for you guys to authorize the contracts to buy the F-750. One of them is with Colonial Motor Group, that's for the truck, and then the other one is for J.C. Madigan's, that's for all the equipment for the truck. This was already approved at town meeting, so kind of formality.
Just executing upon that purchase.
Correct.
Are we ready for a
Any
motion?
issues on delivery on these, or the?
No, actually, they do exist. This one was actually on the lot, so we're hopefully to have it by Thanksgiving, but I'm not super optimistic. The last one was in February, so it'll be some point around then.
Okay, so you dibbed it?
I did.
Well, it was on the lot, you did
Dibs.
call dibs?
We called dibs, yeah. I signed the contract already.
Are we ready for a
I
motion?
think we are, Mr.
I
Clerk.
move that the Select Board vote pursuant to Article 9 of the June 12, 2021 Annual Town Meeting to approve of a contract at the amount of $70,662.25 to Colonial Municipal Group of Plymouth, Mass. For the purchase of a 2022 Ford F-750 and $99,800 to J.C. Madigan, Inc. of Lancaster, Mass. For accessories for said vehicle.
Second.
It's been moved, seconded by Mr. Glavy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Okay, so this one is for the approval of the contract for 25% design for the Route 119 Beaverbrook intersection project. If you remember, we did get this project on the tip a couple years ago, but we obviously didn't have funding for that, so this past year, we requested funding at annual town meeting of $200,000, and that was successful. So this project, the first 25% is about $240,000. The difference from the 200 to the 240 is going to come out of my budget. The reason we went with Green International on this one is because we've actually have an agreement with the state currently that if we bring this to 25% design, the state will take over the rest of the cost for design and construction, with the understanding that the town takes ownership of Old Great Road. So they're gonna repave it, and we'll get a brand-new road, and we just have to maintain, do plowing and stuff on it, so kind of a win-win, I think, for the whole town here. So,
Amen. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any questions? This has been discussed and brought before us before, so without any questions, absolutely understand that motion.
Move that the Select Board vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the contract with Green International Affiliates entitled Agreement to Provide Engineering Services to the Town of Littleton, Massachusetts for the 25% design services for Route 119 Beaver Brook Roundabout 2021.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded by Mr. Knox. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much, Mr. Stoddard.
Okay, the third one is our FY22 road maintenance plan. This year, we're proposing to do some crack sealing, microsurfacing, new treatment this year, cape sealing, which is a rubber stone application, and then we microsurface over the top of that, and then a traditional reclamation and paving portion of it. So this is the map. Color-coded. It's a little hard to read on the TVs, but
Not really.
I tried to make it as big as I can. We can go through the actual road, so if you want to go to the next slide. So our project, our total cost for this year, we're anticipating to be just under $850,000, which is going to be a combination of Chapter 90 monies and the annual appropriations. This is kind of just a little summary page, but back in 2018, we had the whole town rated, all the roads, and we were a 68 out of 100. In the last 3 years, by doing this plan, we just had the roads re-rated this spring. We've actually increased our rating to 76, so a lot higher than I thought, substantially higher, actually. So it shows that this, what we're doing is working. So that I'm hopefully optimistic that we're gonna be able to continue this trend. Move to the next page. So crack sealing, we're planning on doing Crane Road, Ernie's Drive, Tehadawon Road, Harwood Ave. And then as part of the microsurfacing cape sealing roads, we do have to crack seal all of those as well prior to the application. Total for that is just under $71,000. And then just a little picture of what everybody can remember what crack sealing looks like.
Appreciate it.
Our microsurfacing roads, so we're trying to stick to neighborhoods this year, kind of get them, if we can get a bulk of a neighborhood done. It's a little inconvenient at the time, but then we really shouldn't have to go back to these neighborhoods for a while. So our plan this year is to do Snow Drive, Elmwood Road, Snow Terrace, Woodbridge Road, Crestview, Coughlin, Meadow Drive, Brook Lane, and Old Pickard Lane, for a total of just under $240,000. And then the microsurfacing, we've done this a number of years. It's basically just a thin coat, couple layers of it over the existing surface. Cape sealing, so this is the new stuff that we're going to be doing this year. We're going to do Florence Street, Laura, Andrea, George, Dahlia, Orchid, and Grove Street for just over $210,000. This application takes a little bit longer. We have to put the stone down, and it takes about a week in between the stone being set and the microsurfacing going over it. So hopefully we're going to get the message out there so we don't get the complaints, because the stone, driving on the stone's a little rough. So it's not the finished product. It just takes a little bit of time to get the next application down. And then the reclaiming, we're going to do Gilson, the finished Gilson Road, and we're going to do Westchester Drive this year. For just under $240,000 is what we're figuring. And so, I guess one of the biggest complaints I think we get every year is that people don't know what we're doing. So This year, we're trying to do a real concerted effort to get the message out there. So the website is going to be by far the go-to spot. Anybody has questions, everything's going to be posted to the website. But in the interim, well, after today, what we're going to do is we have a flyer going out to everybody that lives on every one of these roads. If you folks vote to approve this, they're all going to get this flyer. And it's going to have, it's just kind of explaining what we're going to be doing. And then on the back side, it actually explains a little more in detail what the application is. And also we're attaching the map so they can kind of correlate it, the two of them together. Twitter, Facebook, we're going to try to use that more this year. The signboards, the electric signboards we have are going to go out now. We have 2. And then what we're doing this year too is door hangers. So between 2 and 3 days before we actually go on their road, we're going to go door to door with door hangers so that way they know when we're going to be there. Obviously with our phone number and our contact info if anybody has any questions. So we're hoping this is going to help the public understand more what we're doing. So we're going to try this. And then this is just a little kind
Actually,
of...
before you go into current projects, just real quickly, just relative to the door hangers or any kind of flyers or anything like that, I say it all the time. Neshoba has a graphics art department. They have a printing.
That's good to know because we
so
haven't come up with the... We don't have...
Might be an
anything
opportunity for us to send some of that locally to a
Yeah.
technical school that we pay into and,
Absolutely.
get some benefit back from it.
yet. Yeah, because we're going to... Actually, we're going to call LELWD and figure out who they use, and we're going to coordinate with that. But
Yeah, I mean,
if we can get the contact info for that, that'd be great. I can have Ashley
Neshoba
start
Tech?
working on that. Yeah,
Because I have that.
perfect.
there we go.
Awesome. And then there's just a little summary of what we got for our current project. So Foster Street tip, which is from Taylor Street to Balsam, 100%, we're through 75% design. 100% design is planned to be submitted to the state in November. And then final bid docs, once we get the comments back from 100%, would be in the middle of the winter. And we are currently programmed for FY #24. So actually, we go out to bid realistically the fall of 2023. So we're actually coming up right on it. Our goal this winter, again, is to go before the MPO and request to be moved up a year. So, fingers crossed, we might actually be able to bid this thing out next year, but if not, it'll be the year after, because we are programmed for that.
Can you just explain briefly how a tip works?
Yeah, so the MPO, Montechusett Planning Organization, Joe, is that the acronym for the MPO? Metropolitan Planning Organization. So, basically, a whole bunch of towns, we get this certain amount of money from the state, and they allocate the different monies to the different projects. Mass DOT pretty much has to endorse all the projects on it, and then they program them into their budget as far as how much money they have and where they think you are in the design phase. So because we're rushing this thing through design phase, that's how we were even able to get onto the 2024 tip.
Yep.
It sounds like it's a long ways out, but with us being able to get to 100% design this year, now what we can do is we can go to the MPO and say, hey, we're ready to bid this out. So if you have a project that ends up getting delayed for some reason, environmental or whatnot, that money is still in that year. So then they can move
Slide
us
us
up
up.
a year, slide us up a year. So that's why I'm always been an advocate for us, get us to 100% design as fast as we can. And this is hopefully going to be a perfect example of why that is going to benefit us.
Thank you.
And then Foster Street from Tehadawon to Harwood Ave, we have 25% design is complete. We are working with the water department, working through some, for their review, because we are doing water main and that portion of the thing. So we're anticipating 100% design on that project to be over the winter. Bid docs will be ready in the spring. This is a big project cost, about 1.5 million is what we're thinking. I don't have this budgeted right now, so this is going to be kind of a combination of where we stand once we bid out the pavement management plan, and then how much money we have left over, and we can figure out how to fund this portion of the project. Then the other big one we got is Russell Street. 25% design. They finished base survey. I just got an email with a bunch of questions for 25% design, so that should be done this fall. Summer of next year will be 100% design. That $150,000, we have not appropriated, or, excuse me, we have not signed the contract for 100% design yet. I do have that $150,000 set aside right now, so we can get it to 100% design. Then this is the same thing. Construction costs is, we're thinking about $2 million. because that one has a lot of sidewalk and there's a lot of challenges with the layout being very narrow on Russell Street. So.
Drainage, underground,
Yeah, we need all new drainage. Right now, we're most likely water main's not gonna be our cost, but water main still has to go in. Gas main needs to be replaced out there. Sewer line, we're working with the water department to possibly install the sewer main for them as we're already in the road digging. So this is a really, really big project. I don't have the $2 million for this yet, but we're pretty good at finding money, so eventually somehow we get it. We were unsuccessful getting the complete streets for this project. So obviously, we're gonna continue to look for additional grants if possible, so. And I think that's all I got.
That's a fair amount. Any
I tried to go
questions?
quick.
I'm curious on the Cape ceiling, Chris, since it's new to us, is it new in general usage, or?
No.
And if not, then is it something, is there a reason why we hadn't been using it before, and what do you hope to achieve by getting it?
Yeah, so, no, Cape Ceiling's been around for as long as all the other products we've been using is. The reason we haven't done it yet is honestly because I haven't found a good candidate of roads. And we use it where it's a more deteriorated down the curve than, say, just a straight microsurface was, and not quite to the level where we need to go in there and reconstruct the whole thing. The benefit of this is we get about 10 years of useful life out of this product, and it's about 50 cents, between 30 and 50 cents on the dollar to what reclamation costs. So we're getting a really good product and a lot cheaper product. So
And
I've used this.
Buying time.
But we're buying time, yeah. We're gonna gain 10 years on these roads that if we did nothing on these roads, within 3 or 4 years, we'd have to reconstruct them completely. I've used this product in Greenfield previously. We just have never really had a good candidate for roads in this town yet, so I think it's gonna work. And it will work, I think it's gonna be a good product.
Good question. Any other questions?
No.
Awesome.
You ready for a motion?
I think we are.
I move that the Select Board vote to approve the fiscal year '22 road maintenance plan as presented by the Director of Public Works.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Alicia?
Good evening. How's everyone doing?
Well,
This is good. This is like the first time actually back in a room with people, so this is like fantastic. It's nice to see people's faces.
Right.
So, yeah, it's very nice. So I am here tonight. We have a donation from the new Amazon delivery station DK01, which is housed here in Littleton. So they got in contact with us because they're really excited to be able to give back to the communities in which they are based. So, we went back and forth on a couple of different things. They really wanted to be able to do a park cleanup or something of that aspect. But I think at the time, because we're still where we are with COVID, that they felt more comfortable giving a donation right now. And they're excited to want to still work with us in the future and do some cleanups. But so for now, they've donated a check for $1,500. And that's going to go towards funding program equipment for the department.
Great. Questions? No?
Nope.
I move that the Select Board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, to receive an unsolicited gift from the Amazon delivery station DK01 of $1,500 to be deposited into a special gift fund account to be used without further appropriation by the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Community Education towards costs to help support the PRCE department.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Mr. Glavy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you very much for that. And you've got
Thank
some
you.
other news
Yeah.
for us?
I just wanted to go through an update on the, I know we talked about the special events before, but we've solidified everything, so this is kind of the like, put it on your calendars, it's happening. So we are absolutely moving forward with Third Thursday in August, so that's going to be the 19th at Fay Park, starting at 5:30. So, we really love people to come out. I think at this time, we're still getting vendors, but we have somewhere around like 30, 35 vendors right now. And we also have a band, which is going to be Mark Crory's band playing, which he's awesome. So that'll be a lot of fun. So definitely please come out for that. I know Nicole was here. We are working with Elder and Human Services, so we're going to do a senior luncheon at Long Lake Beach. And that's going to be held on August 20th at noon in celebration of National Senior Citizens Day. Touch a Truck, we are definitely booked in for the September 18th date, and we are going to be holding it at LWD this year. And that will start at 10 a.m. and go to 1 p.m. We're bringing back Oktoberfest, which is fantastic. We're very excited for that. So that will be October 2nd at Fay Park. Starts at 12 p.m. and will go through 5:30 p.m. I believe the next meeting that will be before you asking for that one-day liquor license, well, I guess not us, but the vendor that we'll be using. And then last for fall is the trunk or treat. So we're going to be doing that again at 300 King Street. And that'll be 3:30 to 5:30 on October 30th. And that's it.
Get 'em in.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we're really excited to be able to get back out there and do some special events again. So, fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very much. Appreciate
Good to see everybody.
Thank you. You
Take it
too.
easy.
Pull some strings to get your street resurfaced? Nice.
No, long story. Every year I'm like, please, Chris, it's so bad. So it's like just lucky.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, next up is Chief Lancy.
Good evening.
Good evening. Representing the fire department.
Yes, yes.
And another gift? to
Another
accept.
gift, yes, generous donation of $5,000 from DCU, great partners with the community each year. That money is used for our SAFE and our Senior SAFE program, so for education in the schools, and also a smoke detector, carbon monoxide program we do with the seniors. For anyone that requests it, and no real estate agents, we don't use, they can't come in and just request that. But they're a great corporate partner for the town. So we don't go out and solicit it, they bring it to us, and that's what we use it for.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you very much, Tom. Entertained motion?
I just also say that they're a great partner with the Boy Scouts selling popcorn every year. I negotiated the spaces, and it was always a pleasure to work with them. So
Yeah.
I want to give them another plug. I move that the Select Board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, to receive an unsolicited gift from the Digital Federal Credit Union, DCU, of $5,000 to be deposited into a special gift fund account to be used without further appropriation by the interim fire chief towards costs associated with student awareness of fire education, SAFE, and senior SAFE fire safety education programs of the fire department.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Mr. Knox. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and just if I can, with the hot weather coming Wednesday, I reached out to Nicole this afternoon, we're gonna have a cooling center at the COA Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, for anybody that wants to go in there.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Bernard?
Honorable Select Board, tonight I'm before you. Obviously, I'm last on the department updates because I was on vacation. Thank you, Anthony. I greatly appreciate that. But
It's called jealousy.
yes,
Maybe
no,
he just figures you'll be really relaxed and you won't care.
I'm in a chill mood right now. It's all good. All honesty, we've received my last 3 years of tenure. We've received this $5,000 donation from DCU. It goes very far in our department as a community policing effort. We use it for our veterans breakfast. We use it for our towards our open house at the station. Various different community policing events we can actually use this money for. It's absolutely fantastic, and I can't say enough how well it is received by our department from DCU, and they just go above and beyond for us. So if the board would select a approval for this donation, I would greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
Ready for a motion?
There's no questions, yes.
That was back here, pardon me. Move that the Select Board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, to receive an unsolicited gift from the Digital Federal Credit Union, DCU, of $5,000 to be deposited, into a special account. Here we go. To be used without further appropriation by the police chief towards costs associated with senior citizen dinners, veterans breakfasts, anti-scam community training, departmental training for patrol and communications, and for full departmental meetings for awards and meals.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you very much, Chief, and thank
Thank
you to
you very
DCU. So folks, if you're out there, if you need a hot dog, go see Ed. If you need to do some banking, go to DCU. These are just good community, corporate citizens that
And
definitely,
don't forget Amazon.
Amazon as well,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to avoid my wife using that, that's why I didn't say it. Yeah, it goes a long way to being a good corporate citizen. It's very much appreciated, and there is a lot of good that comes out of it. Okay, so next up, we do have an opportunity for public input. If you please come forward, identify yourself, your address, and any comments to be made through the chair. Appreciate it.
Hey y'all, thanks for having me. Kim Mayo, 148 Howard Ave. Can I start speaking?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm new to this somewhat. I grew up in Littleton and I moved back last August. Myself and many are saddened by Littleton's overdevelopment crisis and its unintended consequences. Littleton has only half the state average of protected lands, just 14% versus 28%, only half. We're one of the worst in the region, lagging behind abutting towns of Groton, Harvard, Boxborough, even Westford and Acton, not to mention Bolton, Stowe, Lancaster, etc. Our open space residential development bylaw allows developers to count already protected unbuildable wetlands and ecologically sensitive areas as part of their required new open space. Developers here are allowed to run wild. Yet, despite overwhelming opposition, we're still talking about Station Village on Foster and possibly ruining 50 acres. We have a surplus of vacant commercial space available now, including The Point, who was cited for alleged violations of the Clean Waters Act. What happens on the land has an impact on the water supply. There's also no answer to resident concerns about traffic and safety or how Station Village would diminish the value of nearby conservation land our taxes paid for. Lastly, we already exceed affordable housing standards. Money is not likely to offset the costs it would cause. If the land can't go into conservation, light industrial would be far less negative. Overdevelopment is an intrusion that adversely impacts our quality of life. As a result, I will be hosting regional dialogue on and off next door. How can Littleton do a better job protecting open space for future generations? How do we learn from towns like Groton, where my grandmother was a conservationalist? Why are other towns doing so much better despite the efforts of our conservation teams fighting planning board? I ask for everyone's engagement to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments?
No?
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate it. Any other public input? Okay, we'll move on to members' updates. Joe, you got anything?
No, I was just going to mention Thursday, but Alicia already did that, but
Still you done it.
it's been 2 years since we've had that. It's been successful for the last 10 years, so hopefully we get great attendance next Thursday on the 19th.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was really busy. I don't have much that's newsworthy, but I made a list because I thought I was really busy, and it turns out I was. I got Affordable Housing Trust, Stationary Committee, Housing Authority. I attend the Council on Aging. I interviewed the EHS director candidates. I worked on Brandon Lavoie's chainsaw. I chainsawed on Brandon Lavoie's trail project. I met with Anna Houston to discuss the Housing Authority, and I read a proclamation at India Day. So that's all for, since the last, since the last select board meeting. Yeah, I know. And then I have board meetings tomorrow night and Wednesday, just so, you know, it continues.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure.
Ms. Napoli?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to say to the public that the Master Plan Implementation Committee has 2 citizen at large seats available. If anybody is interested in joining the Master Plan Implementation Committee, to please do so. You can fill out an application online at the, it's on the town website. So if you wanted to step up and get involved, we'd be more than happy to have you. So we're hoping that residents will come forward and apply for that committee. The next meeting of the Master Plan Implementation Committee is August 24th at 6:00 p.m. We're going to meet right here in 103, which we're very excited about actually meeting in person. We're currently working on an update to provide about achievements to date, which a lot of accomplishments that we need to celebrate. So we're working on a presentation for the board and for the public at large. The Littleton Station Area Committee had a meeting this past week. We're meeting again on August 18th at 5:30 here in 103. We will be meeting with the Highway Department, and the Conservation Commission. If people want to come, they're more than welcome to attend that meeting. We did have some residents show up at the last Littleton Station Area Committee meeting, which we welcome them. So we're hoping that more people will come forward and attend the meeting as well. And the last thing I wanted to say was I want to thank the Littleton Light and Water Department and Electric Department for supporting the Paint the Town Purple event and lighting the 2 trees on Littleton Common purple, which they were really pretty. And Jocelyn Graham's been great at bringing that initiative forward to our town. Looking forward to that maybe becoming an annual event. Anybody that wants to put together a team and participate in the Walk to End Alzheimer's on October 3rd in Andover, can go to www.alz.org and register your team. There's still time to do that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Sure.
Mr. Glavy?
Okay, well, Matthew mentioned the India Independence Day ceremony in the Common, which I was able to join him in attending this year. It was a fun day, great event. They really highlight their patriotism towards America, and as one of the speakers from the India America Association of Massachusetts mentioned, it's a day when they get to recognize the world's largest democracy in the world's oldest democracy, and I think that's a great way of thinking of it. And Matthew made terrific remarks. We had representation there from the police and fire departments as well, and great to see them participating. And then I just learned through the course of the morning there that while they were doing, I think they said about 35 to 40 of these across the state in different towns, as it turns out, the president of the India America Association of Massachusetts, Sanjay Gowda, lives here in Littleton. So we rank with those folks.
Is his road being paved?
It's one of the newer roads. Beyond that, I'm sure we've all had the slew of meetings, but I would, and thank you for reminding me of this, Chuck, this Wednesday night, the Select Board and the Planning Board, and we've invited other boards to hear a presentation from a prospective buyer and developer of the 500 King Street property, which most folks in Littleton think of and know of as the IBM property. So what I guess it's an open meeting. We even encourage boards to come and ask questions, but I think we'd probably encourage the public at large to tune in and watch, and it'll be available on cable. I'm sure it'll be, I think if they want to watch it after the fact, Anthony, is that?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be 6:30 Wednesday night.
6:30 Wednesday night,
Right.
and it'll be live on LCTV and available for
Yeah,
playback.
still at the conceptual stage, but it's a exciting prospect.
Yeah, it's, the planning board and select board having a joint meeting to bring that forward.
Yep.
That's exciting, very exciting. I just want to give a shout out to just all the businesses in the community that have kind of, pulled up their bootstraps and struggled through the pandemic, and for all those who have who have patronized our businesses, small businesses and large businesses, and to see, the testimony with our business community being so involved with us and helping us to get things done by making these donations that we had tonight. I had an opportunity, Cindy, myself, Police Chief, Tom Clancy were present, stopped by Salute last night. They were doing a small celebration of their one-year anniversary. And it's, the statistics don't bode well in a good economy for a restaurant to stay alive for a year. But from working with the landlord up there, as well as through Deb and Chris's perseverance, and their staff, they've managed to survive very much through the community stepping up and getting up to the local businesses and supporting them. So thank you very much to the community for taking care of our small businesses. Thank you very much for our small businesses for taking care of our community. So it's absolutely a collaborative effort, and we're all in this together. So very much appreciate it. All right. So that being said, we are moving on. Like we made up some time. Look at us.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to recuse myself for this.
Appreciate that, Matthew.
Please call me when you're done.
I know where to get you.
Or down. I don't know.
Either one. I'll take a large iced coffee. Mr. Gianetta, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me back.
You really didn't have a choice. Kidding. Just kidding, Counsel.
So, good evening. Thanks for having me, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Dave Gianetta, CEO of Collective, and I'm here with a few of my team members. Meg Nash, counsel with Vicente Cedarberg, and also our Chief of Security, Mike Allen, is also here with us this evening. So this evening, we're here to present a summary of a recent application that was submitted to the Select Board for adult use marijuana cultivation and product manufacturing license. This is to be co-located at our retail establishment that was recently permitted at 537 Great Road. The structure of the business is, the ownership is the same. So it's myself as CEO, and this is a phased approach. I'll go a little further into that in just a moment. But in initial phase one, we're looking at hiring an additional 15 employees as part of the operation for cultivation. Business hours are going to be consistent initially with that of our recently approved retail, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Myself and our head cultivator will also act as being available for any emergencies that are to arise, as well as our Chief of Security. So as I mentioned, it is co-located. We are proposing the approval of a Tier 2, which is a classification by the Cannabis Control Commission, 5,000 square feet to 10,000 square feet of cannabis canopy. And again, this is going to be co-located at 537 Great Road. Our goal here is to take a phased approach. Initially, right now as we speak, we're starting to fit out our retail. We've recently received our building permit for that. That consists of 4,520 square feet, and our estimated opening date is February 2022. Phase one of the cultivation proposal is 5,854 square feet, and we estimate that we can open within another year from the time of retail opening. And then phase two would be 7,822 square feet. In the next slide is our floor plan, and it is color-coded to show the different phases that we intend on operating and fitting out the space. So in the purpley blue color, that's our retail space that has already been approved. That's exactly how we've presented it to the planning board and to the building department. So that space is in motion now. Phase 1 of the cultivation for future grow is the tan color, and that's the 5,854 square feet, which we intend on, again, opening in February of 2023. And then after that, we intend on fitting out an additional 4 flower rooms that you'll see color-coded in green, which is an additional 7,822 square feet. So the entire building consists of 20,000, just a little over 20,600 square feet. The remaining yellow space there is the office, front office, that we will need for support of the cultivation operation. We have the property secured by a lease for the entire building. We are making option payments on that as we speak, and have started to do so as of July 1st. So the intention is for the existing landlord slash operator, so he runs his own business out of the space now. He runs out of what's color-coded as Phase 2, and also the office space right now. The remaining space is vacant, so the intention is to fit out Phase 1, get things started, create a little revenue, and then with that, we want to quickly roll into the Phase 2 space. The site plan here is the same site plan we used for our approval for retail with the planning board. And the main difference here is you'll notice as part of the footprint of the building, just as the floor plan I just showed, we tried to delineate the different phased approaches. The long and short of it, in the top right corner, there's a parking table. We do comply with the parking bylaw that Littleton does have. It's broken up into retail section. It's broken up into Phase 1 and Phase 2 cultivation, and it's also broken up into office. The summary is that in all of the space within the building, we would be required with the different uses to have the need for 73 spaces, and we have 78 available to us. Okay, so we well exceed what is going to be required. From a zoning perspective, we're located in the Industrial A, which is required as part of the cultivation bylaw, so we do comply with the zoning as well. Our development plan, this is just a table showing you what we intend on spending to get us to the finish line of Phase 1. So by Q1 of Phase 1, between our CapEx and our OpEx, we're going to be in the ballpark of 1.1 million needed. In the application packet, we did provide financials, current financials that would support that figure. But keep in mind, the intention here is for this likely will not open for about a year after we've already started operating our retail. So we also intend on using company revenue to help with this development. Additionally, this would not be the only retail assisting in that. We have another retail in Billerica that we intend on opening just a few months prior to the Littleton retail. That pretty much just shows you Q1, and then thereafter, we have a relatively limited cost for the following quarters that we will be applying our revenue toward those expenses. Probably the most exciting part to the town is the financial benefit. So as you'll see here, because it is a phased approach, in year 1, we have an initial growth schedule. We plan on being in the ballpark of 1,100 serviceable market pounds per year. That's pounds of cannabis flower. And that'll translate to a proposed municipality payment of just under $35,000 to the town. Once we expand into year 2, which will be Phase 2, we're then able to increase that quite a bit, about 4 times the amount. So by year 2, we're proposing that we should arrive at a municipality payment of $120,000 a little excess of that. Year 3, 112. Year 4, 104. Year 5, 96. The reason for the decline is simply because of the market starting to correct itself with supply and demand of other suppliers that are out there. Price will likely go down, just as retail prices will go down as well. Security of the facility, it's very similar to that we proposed to the town previously with retail. It's just simply enhanced. We've already provided a security plan to Chief Pinard. Informally, if you will, I've had a conversation with the chief, and he's pretty comfortable with this proposal. But as always, we will work closely with LPD as far as developing a good plan that everybody's comfortable with. There'll be multiple inspections as well, and not to mention that we're only a stone's throw away from the police station. So we'll have good security there. Also, we'll have all of the other components of our security, positive ID through ID verification scanners, secure delivery and transportation processes, alarm systems, video surveillance, and electronic access control. Trying to stay ahead of it, we do realize that within the cultivation space, there tends to be the concern of other nuisances such as odor, such as noise. So we're trying to stay ahead of that. We've pointed out a few items here. Mainly noise and odor tend to be the key contributors. So as far as odor goes, we do intend on having plasma filters in the rooftop units that are existing for this particular building. Also interior air scrubbing through vaporization, bipolar ionized systems, and inline can filter carbon filters at all exhaust points. The Cannabis Control Commission has their own regulations that we will also be following to make sure that we do comply in that category. And then finally, more importantly too, benefits to the town of Littleton. One of the key reasons why I am proposing this is because the supply chain right now is not as strong as I think we once all thought it would be. And because the reason is a lot of cultivators are now finally starting to get online, but that process takes time, and they have to have their first harvest. They have to also be willing to sell to someone other than themselves, because a lot of cultivators actually have their own retail, so they tend to favor themselves first. They'll supply themselves first before they'll supply other retailers. So we're looking to propose the same thing here, and it's pretty important, in my opinion, that it helps to secure the retail permit that has already been issued to us. We want to be able to provide our own supply so that we're not 100% depending on outside suppliers. And this will also help support the success of our business, which will then help support the risk and success of the town, and will more so guarantee that revenue stream that we've proposed. So that's our key benefit to allowing us to cultivate out of that same location. Also, along the way, this has been a long process for me. You know, this board right here, we've now known each other for a good 3 years. We've met a lot of retailers, other retailers, along the way, just through networking. And what's exciting is we already have the excitement built up through other retailers that are ready to work with us from a cultivation standpoint. So not only will we be supplying ourselves, but we will be supplying other retailers that we've gained some relationships with. So that'll further support the agreement or approval of this cultivation effort. Jobs, I mentioned, just in phase 1, we're looking to likely bring on another 15 employees. So our goal will also always be local. So we're looking to bring on more jobs within the community. And then really it's just access to quality product. We'll have more control of the product that gets produced and sold out of the retail facility, thus trying to drive that serviceable market up with the retail. Many other benefits as well, but these are the main ones. So without further ado, I do appreciate you hearing me today, and We're open to any questions, any regulatory questions. Meg Nash is here for that. Security, Chief Mike Allen can definitely speak to that as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
David.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. And just when Collective sent in the request to come before us, we did reach out to council to say, is this something, are we okay here? And Chris did get back to us with an email saying that, no, I'm not going to guess at it.
Attorney Chris Heap, right?
Attorney Chris Heap, from Town Council from Myers and Harrington, did say that we would need to enter into either a new HCA or, as we've been advised, potentially amend the existing HCA with the select board. Also need special permits for each use other than retail, which you've already kind of addressed that with us, but couldn't think of any reason why you couldn't pursue these approvals with the select board or with the planning board. So we just kind of did that first set of muster just to make sure that we were okay, and that was dated June 24th, I believe, is when Chris sent that letter across to us. So I think I can certainly share that out with the rest of the board, just so everybody has it.
And Mr. Chair, council would rather amend the current HCA. That would be its choice than to enter into a new HCA.
Okay. That's something we could certainly hammer out. That being said, is there any, I think you brought it up. We've been in front of us for a long time, and 90% of the application process is in fact vetting the applicant.
That's right.
So we've certainly done that and entered into an HCA with you. And so I think that there's certainly some upside with adding jobs, economic development. Certainly the revenue portion of it isn't lost on us, especially coming out of the pandemic. We have no idea where anything's going to be. And one of my comments earlier was relative to small businesses and stuff, and they're all struggling to get back. And so if we creating a little cottage industry here in Littleton.
Does it warrant another public outreach meeting?
Yes.
It does?
Yes. So I'll have the same process as before.
Okay.
I'll have to have a community outreach.
Yeah.
Which I'll have to notify abutters, the same process.
Okay.
And then same process before with the planning board. The one proposal I'll make as an amendment, if you will, and this I'll have to take up with the planning board, is the process for retail was HCA with select board, then it was go to the state for provisional licensure, then back to planning board for special permit. My proposal is going to be select board HCA, community outreach meeting, special permit, provisional license. Reason being, I spent a lot of money on the last go around and had to change locations, and when doing so, I had to then spend more. My hope is that the planning board will see, and I'm not sure if this is also part of our approval, but hopefully you'll also see that, the vetting has taken place. It's the same location, obviously. So my understanding of the intent of that process was so that applicants aren't getting shot down by the state after going through planning board, right? Well, I've already done my background checks. I've already done my fingerprinting, been vetted by the state, have 2 provisional licenses. So that's, my one request.
Goes to my last comment
And
about the
and
applicant.
through the chair, there's no issue having retail and cultivation on the same site?
Co-location?
Yeah,
According to town council, there is not.
okay,
No.
perfect. Good.
I got a quick question.
Joe?
Just in my own education, you have the cultivation there. Do you have to send that product out to make different products, or will you be doing that right on location?
No, we will, when you say send out for testing?
No, not only testing, but when they change into the different products.
Edibles and so forth.
Whether it's a tablet or a gummy bear or whatever they want to call them. Is that sent out, or is that something you do on site?
No, we would be processing and manufacturing on-site.
Commercial kitchen.
Yeah, now that's going to be our phase 2. Phase 1, we're strictly focusing on flower, so, the actual plant. And to be perfectly honest, I'm likely going to remain in that direction even for phase 2, just because the economics of it for us, for the operation that we are, we're not looking to conquer the world here. And I think that, we'll still likely outsource any type of lab-type products that you're referring to, edibles, tinctures, anything like that. So really, our motivation is more so for the ability to grow the actual plant.
Okay.
And then potentially outsource the rest.
Yeah, it's essentially like a biotech company.
Exactly.
When you're extracting the different components. You had a question?
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. You anticipated a lot of the questions I think we would have come up with, I take this as a positive sign that you're already looking to expand before you've sold your first product, so
Yeah.
that's all good. I'm glad you pointed out, that in terms of this proposal, you and the site have both already been vetted. It's new activity there, certainly, and there's a process for that, and I appreciate you spelling that out. Just in terms of my own trying to grasp, looking at the slides we were provided, how much of the building is going to be new construction, how much is the existing construction, and then just more of, it probably would be the first question, how are you making out with your neighbors today, since you're already in there, retrofitting and all that sort of stuff now? Is it looking like it's all going to work and everybody's comfortable with you down there and all that?
Yes, we haven't had, a single comment, complaint, concern otherwise.
Yeah, it's a great spot for it.
Yeah, to answer your question as far as construction goes, so, Anthony, do you mind just going back to that floor plan, please?
Oh, right there.
There you go. So, right now, the yellow space, the office, and into some of the green space there is actually already fit out as office. The current landlord/tenant is actually occupying that space. He uses the back area that's all still part of the green shaded space as like a machine shop. So it's pretty raw back there, but it's, he is using it. The entirely other half, so the purple space we're starting to fit out, and then even the tan space right now, the tenant, the landlord is using it as storage. So what we also looked at here is depending on.
So it is all within the footprint of the existing.
Oh,
building.
yeah,
So
there's
that's
no
the
new
part that was-
construction.
I'm
sorry, I misunderstood. No new construction proposals. The only outdoor work that we're gonna actually be doing was already approved during the special permit. We have to do a handicap accessible, impervious surface, pavers right outside our entryway for the retail. Employee entrance also will remain the same. If you look up at the floor plan, the purple stairs that kind of bump out there on the side, that's existing, and that is our employee entrance for both retail and for both cultivation. Dependent on the employee and their access, they'll have key card access to either go into retail or cultivation or both. But yeah, no new construction being proposed.
I mean, that would have been fine if it were necessary, but
Yep.
we're just unclear on it.
As far as the
Thank
neighbor,
you.
interruption with the
Thank you.
neighbors and that kind of thing, yeah. Any other questions?
No. Good luck.
Thank you.
So I guess as far as next step, it's discussion dependent, and we can vote to go into negotiations of an HCA at this point, or amend
Correct.
it?
We don't have a prepared motion, not knowing how the board wanted to move forward, but if the board was,
So inclined.
yeah, so inclined, then we would entertain a motion to enter negotiations to amend the HCA with Collective and the town.
Is that something we should have a couple of members, and you do, Joe, obviously town council will be involved at some,
I'm supportive of that, you know what, I don't mind even taking a vote here tonight, but I'd like to see it laid out by somebody, whether it's you, Anthony, council, all the things that were spoken about as far as our assumptions on process. Just see it in writing, I'm happy to support that proposal, and I don't want to delay the negotiation, but I'd kind of like to see that part laid out, that,
as far as how, next steps, that kind of thing? how's it-
Yeah, I mean, what are the things that we aren't required of because of prior votes? What are the things
Got it.
that are
Okay,
required?
yep. You understand that?
Yeah, we can have Chris spell that out, and then we can bring it back on the 23rd, and then take the motion then into
Yeah, I mean, I don't even, as I say, I don't mind taking a motion tonight to
Okay.
begin that process.
Yeah, let's
That's
do that.
fine,
Yeah, and
but,
then just
But I'd
inform the
like to
board
be,
of.
I'd like to have, what are the rules of the game? Well, they're in writing, they're right here, this is what we're
Yep,
following.
that makes sense.
I don't anticipate questions from the public at large, but, everybody has a right to know
Sure.
what are the rules we're playing by.
We'll follow up.
Okay.
And if I may, I was just going to add that our office would be happy to, if the board is willing to enter a vote tonight to approve, sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
No worries,
Microphone's there, it's better for LCTV.
no worries.
Thanks.
And again, my name is Meg Nash. I'm from Vicente Cedarburg. I represent Collective. Just with respect to the HCA, I did want to mention that if the board is inclined to approve entering into negotiations this evening, our office would be happy to send a proposed amendment to the board, to town council, to sort of move negotiations forward quickly, since there has been so much progress made already in terms of negotiating the original host community agreement. And I imagine that the process ultimately in finalizing a document that would be acceptable to both the town and Collective would likely be modifications to 2 or 3 paragraphs as opposed to the entirety of the document. So just wanted to.
I'm comfortable with that, if the rest of the board is.
Yeah, I'm reserving the right to defer to whatever council advises us. We
Exactly.
welcome all your input, that's fine.
It's good to have some sort of a starting point, and then, as you mentioned, we can go back and forth with red lines and that kind of thing, and then kind of hash it out. But I think you're right, I think it's going to be tweaking a little bit here and there, and, yeah, if you'd be, as long as you're willing.
I'm willing. I'll make the motion.
He's got it all prepared. Look, next slide, Anthony.
Do you want to
Yeah, if you
identify
wanna-
folks, or, you've been our point person on this. And I'm
All things
comfortable with
cannabis?
that. Yeah, right, if you wanted somebody else in there, pick somebody, I got plenty on my plate, so I'm not craving it.
It's up to the board. I'm happy to do it with the help of town council, and that's how we've done the last few, but if somebody else wants to jump in.
Sure, I'll jump in.
Okay,
That's what Cindy and I.
all right, then unless the board has any other
Unless Joe wants
details.
to jump in.
It's fine with me, unless you really want to do it,
Okay. Yeah, no,
because I don't have a lot on my plate right now.
yeah, so let's have Joe do it.
Okay, all right,
Perfect.
then I'll make a motion that the board appoint Chuck DeCosta and Joe Knox to represent us in negotiations with Collective relative to their proposal for grow facility.
Co-location?
Co-location with their existing operation, and that we have town administrator, town council provide us with guidance on process.
Perfect.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's 4-0.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Everett. Thanks, chief. Thanks, Mike, appreciate it.
Someone's gonna get Matthew.
Yeah, I'll text him.
What time's our meeting Wednesday?
6:30. Priorities.
It's at 4:30.
It'll be good.
Sorry, folks, just
Right.
texting our fifth member. Would had to recuse himself from the last item. There he is. Colonel Flag on MASH. You don't remember that?
I don't know.
He's just come in like the wind.
I remember him.
Did you say Nash or Mash?
MASH. No, it was Meg Nash, was counsel
okay,
from
I'm like-
Vicente Cedarburg. All right. All right, great. So, Anthony, you can kind of get us going while we're...
Sure.
There it is. Item 6A, right, special town meeting?
6A, special town meeting. We've identified October 25th at Monday, October 25th at 7 PM for special town meeting. Tonight, we're looking for the board to open the warrant. We've provided with, in your packet, a list of some preliminary articles that we've been working on, and certainly if there's others, I think that as a result of our meeting late last week with Selectman Glavy and with the water sewer representative, Nick Lawler.
You brought them up to speed, Anthony, I did as we.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Right, so we brought them up to speed as far as the potential of Wednesday's meeting with the developer who's interested in 550 King Street. And we talked sewer, and there was a possibility that we could have in addition to this list of articles, a sewer funding article as well. So we're still working on that too, and certainly if we're missing anything, by all means, let us know. But this is a preliminary list right now, so I don't think that we're prepared right now to insert any articles tonight. We do have 2 more meetings to do that, but we are, once the motion is taken to open the warrant, the only first article that we could discuss tonight would be the progress with the Personnel Committee and amending that personnel bylaw that we've been working on with Anita, Bill Schmidt, myself, Joe, and Jen Dever Wood for the past couple of Fridays, and I think we've made some significant progress. And I think it's they're looking for feedback from the Select Board tonight, and then the Personnel Board will review and take the comments of the Select Board, work on any other adjustments, and I would hope for that next meeting that we have a form of the article to insert into the special town meeting warrant.
All right, great, thanks, Anthony. The only thing I can think of, not necessarily think of, but we always have these kind of loose ends that we say, oh, we need to clean that up. And typically that would be done at the Maytown meeting, but if there is anything that you think that we need to change as far as whether a procedure we've come across or something that we need to get changed at town meeting, if it's a relatively late agenda, it might be an opportunity for us to put something on there.
Yeah, we did have some bylaws that we needed
So,
to
yeah.
abolish.
Right.
We actually had a list going for a while there,
Right.
so maybe we should, and we did put that off just because the Springtown meeting was so full.
Pretty packed, yeah.
So maybe we can add that on.
Maybe we could work on that?
Yeah.
We'll go through that, Cindy and I.
Yeah, that'd be great. So,
Clean up some of the language.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Okay, great.
Other than that, I think we're okay to, any questions?
Just opening it tonight, right?
Right, just opening it and.
All right, you ready for a motion? Move that the Select Board vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 10, to call a special town meeting for Monday, October 25th, 2021, at 7 p.m. in the Charles Forbes K Gymnasium, Littleton Middle School, 55 Russell Street, with the warrant therefore to open forthwith and close on Wednesday, September 14th, 2021, at noon.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Mr. Glavy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, great, thank you. All right.
And
We've got the warrant in front of you now.
Thank you. Feel like we just did this. So we passed out the red line version of the personnel bylaw and then what it would look like as a clean version. We did update the board's packet today. Joe did that online, so the residents can also see what you've have received late last week. And happy to discuss, or I know Anita's here, and Gary, another member of the Personnel Committee, as well as myself and Paul. Any comments?
I have some comments. Well, do you want to hear from the board first, Mr. Chair?
No, if you comments.
Okay. I don't know how you want to do it. So, no, I appreciate this, and I know that Donna Brewer had been working on this and had some recommendations. My only comment is with respect to the advisory committee, the membership of the advisory committee. It basically, it says that it shall consist of 3 citizens with preference to residents who have human resources and municipal experience. Donna Brewer had mentioned in the summary she had provided to the board that she did not feel that town employees or former town employees should be part of that committee. And so I just didn't see that was reflected in this language. And then the other thing too, in the paragraph, it says, all other appointments to the Personnel Advisory Committee should be made by the Select Board. So what other appointments would there be made?
We already made that language correction, I caught that.
Oh,
one, right?
okay,
So
all
no
right.
other, it's it.
All right,
That's
good.
it, yeah.
All right,
So
good,
that's
because I'm
gonna
like,
be-
wait a minute, what am I missing?
Good catch.
Joe, you making notes there for
Yes,
this?
I am.
Thank you.
I thought we already deleted that out.
Well,
I
we
didn't
did,
see
but
it
it
in
was-
this
This is
copy
the
that I
earlier
got.
copy that you
Yes.
got, right?
Yeah, and that was the only thing that I just wanted to bring to the attention, because Donna had indicated that in her summary to the board, that she felt that that should also be a requirement of the composition of this, of that committee, so.
You know, Nita, Bill, Anthony, those guys they've done the
Yeoman's work.
bulk of the work, the yeoman's work, right? I mean, I'm on the personnel committee. We received the information, but I mean, it's a great job done, and I don't know if you want to speak to it at all, Anita?
Yeah, please. If you have any comments or you want to speak to Anita, by all means.
I have a question about what Mrs. Nappi just said. Did Donna Brewer give a reason why she wouldn't want a town employee or ex-town employee to be on the advisory committee?
I'd have to.
So just announce who you are and as the
Anita
chair.
Harding, Chairman of the Personnel
Thank
Board, Residence 19 Russell Street.
Thank you.
So actually, Anita, I'd have to go back and look at the letter that she provided to the board, but I think Donna was just basically saying, as far as, I don't want to say conflict of interest, but as far as having an employee or a former employee be in that role or that position, she did not recommend it. But again, I'd have to go back to her letter, and that would actually be a question for Donna herself, about why she made that recommendation.
Okay. I just wanted to say that we've been working now for at least 3 weeks, and we've done a lot. This, I think, is the 6th edition that we've put together.
But who's counting?
Yeah, yeah. So we started with red line, then we went to blue line, then we went to red and blue line. So, I mean, we've
Very
really...
patriotic.
Yeah, sure. What we've really done is try to dissect everything, you know, paragraph by paragraph, and make it more up to date from what it has been in the past, and to take out a lot of the sections that really did always belong in HR, but we didn't have HR when this was set up. And so it was appropriate, we felt, to move those items, such as harassment and, you know, social media and drug and alcohol abuse and all of that doesn't belong in the bylaw anyway. So it's good that we can move all that out and go forward. I have to say, as a person that helped write the bylaw in the beginning, I think I'm still a little shell-shocked, because the reason it was put in place back in 2007, because things were really bad in Littleton, and non-union people were not represented at all. And over the years, especially the last 4 years, there's been a big change. And I know when Keith was here, it was always, whatever the union employees get, the non-union will get. And Anthony is pretty much said the same thing. So we've grown a lot over the years. And I was speaking to one board member today, and she explained that she thinks she's pretty good with this. And I said I am too, but I still am cautioned that I don't ever want to see it go back the way it used to be. I think we've grown enough to know that it won't, but it scares me. And the other thing I would like to ask is, when you presented the warrant article back in May, I had a personnel board meeting and asked all employees to come and weigh in their opinion of your proposed bylaw that you ultimately withdrew. And I'm asking that we also have the opportunity to have a meeting with all the employees and let them know where we've come from, so town meeting they will know at town meeting what they're voting for. I think it's fair for them to see the work that we've done. I would invite the select board members. Chuck, you were at the first one, you might want to come to this one too. I've talked to Joe about it, but we haven't really set a time or date, or he hasn't given his sanction that we can do it yet. So it's something that I think is important for all the employees to see where we are and where it's come and what it means, and have them to feel more comfortable about what's going on. And I've always been a proponent of employees' rights and employees being treated equally and fair. And that's all I want to see come out of this.
Hopefully, we're able to have that meeting, which by necessity was by Zoom last time around, be in person, but, I'd be driven by the events of the day, but I think we should absolutely do that again.
I think it would be really great. When we did a sick leave policy, we did it in this room, and we had all the employees here, and it makes a big deal difference when you're sitting face to face, and, we present and they respond, and they feel like they're part of what's going on. And that's big for Littleton, that all the employees feel like they're part of what's going on. And I know Anthony's working at that, and Joe is working at that, and I think we just need to continue that right through. So I mean, I don't have a problem setting up 2 meetings here, a morning and an afternoon, anytime within the next 2 weeks to bring them forward and give them the information, if I have your okay to do that.
If I can, Mr. Chair, on a recommendation, Michelle's starting on the 23rd, and that's when normally I'm going to have a department head meeting, so maybe we can do a all-employees meeting. It's an opportunity to meet Michelle at 10 o'clock. Maybe we'll do that 10 to 10:30 or 10:45, whatever we need. Then we can get into our department head business after that, and then we can do it again later that day for those that can't make it. It'd be a good day, especially Michelle, her first day. It'll be a little light day for her, but a chance to really meet our team.
The only thing I'd caution is change is difficult, right? So this is going to be a big change. I just don't want her drinking from the fire hose right off the bat. I do like the idea in principle, but just trying to think it all the way through. I don't anticipate there being any issues because we do have an HR department now, and with her coming on board, I think she's going to be very receptive. And I think it's going to be like the deli
Yeah.
for the first couple of weeks of people standing outside of her door.
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Chair, I think to have the personnel board meet with the employees separately to discuss the bylaws better than putting the poor new department rep in and get hit with any comments that just might pop up that day. I don't know.
I don't think we would anticipate she would be responsible for answering, but just introducing her at the same time we're doing the presentation. That's the way I heard.
All right, I misunderstood.
Yeah, she hasn't had a role in this bylaw, so it's really not hers to defend. But if, if employees have a legitimate interest, well, okay, if the bylaw is being changed and the replacement is this HR department, well, then it's nice to be able to say, and here she is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think if it's introduced that way, I'm more comfortable with her being in that introductory day.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to go back to the question about former employees being eligible. I'm not sure I really understand that rationale. I can see situations where former employees would actually be incredibly valuable, given their experience, and I'm not sure why we would think it was a conflict of interest for a former employee to be on it if we have board members who are currently employed.
Honestly, Matthew, that came from town council, and so I can't speak for Donna Brewer, but that was her comment, so we'll have to ask her to provide her rationale for that.
I'd be curious to see what she says as well.
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, could have something to do with, do we have to go up there?
You do.
The rules. No more mics up there?
Don't worry about
Sorry. Gary Wilson, Vice Chair of Personnel Board. I think some of that might have been the fact that the conflict of interest piece, but more so, someone that just left town, working for the town, all of a sudden might run right into that role, and that would potentially be a conflict. So maybe it's kind of like becoming a contractor right after leaving the government.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a time period we could put a clause in there or something like that that says
So
after
many years or something.
X amount of years of being a town employee. Other than that, I think between the bylaw change and the employee handbook that's evolving and being created, it's a great document, I think, for the town. Gives management flexibility throughout the year, to make changes, whether we would have to come to a town meeting to get something done. And there's a lot of protections in here, I think, that should make employees feel good. So I think waiting, like we did to this fall town meeting, having this employee handbook kind of out there It's going to quell a lot of issues that I think employees would have and their protections and things like that, so it's good, a lot of good work went into it.
Appreciate
Okay,
both
thank
of your input.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that, yeah, if you're comfortable with doing that with Michelle on that day, I don't know that all of us could necessarily be there at 10 o'clock meeting,
Hopefully,
but.
if Anita can be there.
Yeah.
I'll try and be there.
Yeah, and
What's the
then-
date on that again?
and if
The
you're doing-
23rd, August
Doing it-
23rd.
If you're doing it twice, if you're doing it, another meeting later in the day for those that weren't able to be there, then, maybe between the two, there can be some presence from members of the select board. 23rd, you said?
23rd, yes.
And could I request that you send the red line version and the final 6-page version out to all the employees ahead of time so that they'll have the opportunity, because I don't have the list of all the non-union employees.
Yes, absolutely.
But that way they'll have a chance to read it all and, make comments if they have any, and if they don't, that's great.
Sure. I'm sure.
We'll just have to, because we'll have one more working
Tomorrow.
session tomorrow, and then we can identify if that's the next step before bringing it back to the personnel board.
Okay.
I won't be around tomorrow, Anita, but Joe and I think
I
Jennifer.
understand. I understand.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great.
It's at 10 a.m., right? 10 a.m. for the first go-around?
10 a.m., 9:30-ish, yeah, we can figure that out and nail down a time.
Okay. Thank you. Good. As far as taking action,
We need to, do we?
No.
it's still a work in progress, right?
No, right, it's just still a working document, and certainly we'll, after the working group meets, we'll make the necessary adjustments. We'll have maybe Donna Brewer come to a meeting the next time,
Good
and,
idea, yeah.
and, or at least zoom in or something, and to answer any questions, and maybe we can nail down the final version.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, and we are
7A.
7A, town administrator,
7A.
town administrator,
So.
TA advisory?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So, as being a community that has a commuter rail station, we're part of the MBTA Advisory Board. The position has been vacant in Littleton. I'm not sure if it ever was filled after Keith left. It's a position that I held when I was in Wenham, because Wenham also did have a commuter rail station. I did attend their meetings, and for the most part, they review their budgets, and they have some separate sub-working groups, and it's like an advisory committee to the MBTA. I'm happy to serve in that role for the town unless the board wants something different.
I know Keith held on to a couple of those regional
Yeah.
positions
Yeah.
after,
MAPC.
sort of like Deng Xiaoping, even after that, still head of something,
You're out there. That was a deep reference, man. I was like,
That's a good networking opportunity. If we run into an MBTA issue down the road and you happen to know the people by virtue of being in that room 4 times a year or whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, the good thing is it's been Zoom for the past year and a half. So, and I did serve on the capital subcommittee when I was on the advisory board for the last community, so.
Most of those meetings are regional as well, right?
I think that they're gonna keep them all Zoom for as long as the governor does it.
Right, but still, don't they break them out into regions? No?
Not for MBTA,
No?
just one region.
Yeah.
So that's a big meeting.
It's a big meeting, but it's not
Right.
that really well attended even through a Zoom.
Wow.
I don't have any problem with Anthony being
Yeah, I think it's
representative.
great.
no problem.
Need a blessing?
Sure, happy to.
All right.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yep.
I move that the board vote to designate Anthony M. Ansaldi, Town Administrator, as the Select Board's designee to the MBTA Advisory Board.
Second.
So moved, seconded by Ms. Napoli, that Anthony Mensaldi be the representative for the MBTA Advisory Board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 What's your middle
You
name?
got rid of that nameplate.
What's your middle name?
Michael.
Michael. You're going to be Mansaldi from now on.
That's forever.
At least to me, is.
I got a new nameplate too, just wondering if to hear that, but that's okay. The next item, Mr. Chairman, is,
Great time-wise, let's not fall apart.
yeah, right, we,
Hold it together.
we want to improve the peer review contract and for the planning department. So, Joe, I don't know if there's anything else to add on that.
That's basically it. This is just third amendment. This is all paid for by peer fees that are paid to the planning board. It's
Right.
not coming out of the budget.
Great.
Since it's in the rearview mirror, I don't have any conflicts here, but I'll say, that's good work if you can get it. I haven't cut those checks.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You're good.
I move that the select board vote
that's
to
not what I
authorize the, sorry?
It's not-
Okay. Move that the select board vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the third amendment to contract for services between the town of Littleton and Green International Associates, Inc. for engineering peer review services to the planning board.
Second.
Moved, second by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you very much. 7C,
Joe,
signature quitclaim deed.
I'm going to give this to Joe.
All right. So, a special town meeting back on October 17th, 2020. Town meeting voted to accept various ways as well as parcels within K Estates and Durkee Estates so that we can record the parcel X that's shown on the control sheet. We just need the board signature. So, yet another,
I just have one question.
yes.
When you look in the map and it says footpath, which is the one, hopefully it'll connect to the path that's being made, are they responsible from that point on to make sure it's there?
That's a condition of the planning board's approval, was for that. There's basically another little piece that was required in the planning board's approval. This is just a strip of land, and it goes out all the way, sort of where it's then,
Yeah,
sort of that dark color.
My concern is that the borders, there's certain properties there. If we don't really make a path there, then I can see that owner saying that's my land now. I just want to make sure
There's already a gravel path from the road to the beginning of the forest.
Right, but there isn't that 6-foot gravel path all the way around the perimeter where it says it's a 6-foot strip. I think that's Joe's point. There's a gravel path back to it, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah, but you could get to it from the, I don't know what the name of that one is. It looks like it abuts the one of those cul-de-sacs, right?
It shows it here, then it shows it going all the way up here, then like this. I want to make sure that the path is there.
Five residences that could, if they maintain that property for 10 years, they could make an argument to the state.
So one of,
Under Mass General Law, they could make an argument that they've maintained it for 10 years and that they have a right to it.
there are some, at least case law that deal with when it's.
If we maintain it once.
Well, you can't do it with municipalities.
Happened in the city of Boston.
At least recent case law that I'm aware of.
In any event,
But
those are speculative.
Those are encroachment issues that, yes, over time, we're going to have to make sure that it is continually tracked to make sure that that path is available. I think BPAC is one of those that is looking at making sure that all these connections are taken
Maintained
forward.
once a year, we're good.
Who's making sure of that? Because I would have guessed that it'd probably be Amy Green, right, the conservation.
The Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee?
And
But are
also,
they designated that? I mean,
the planning board would also be responsible, because this is a special
it's a
permit
condition of
condition.
the planning board, but in
Yep.
terms of practical application, somebody has to be in charge of putting down a path or maintaining it, otherwise it's not going to happen.
Yes,
And
just as a
frankly, we're-
reminder, we have that, the funding that the select board authored for a pedestrian, bicycle, trails, master plan that's going to happen around the first of the year. So at that point, it'd be good to identify that and.
Yeah, and, well, just on the notion of the bike path, I mean, that's a advisory committee to the town. They don't have statutory authority anywhere. It probably should be Conservation Commission or somebody. I'm saying that because they're usually the ones who do maintain
And
conservation.
we're the ones that are signing the deed.
Right.
So we are the care, custody, and control.
That's
So
fine,
we-
but somebody-
We need to assign.
Assign it to somebody,
Yeah, right.
or at least have a conversation with them in writing. You guys are aware we're taking this property formally. You have a you know, a maintenance plan, right? Can we see it, you know, whatever, or you want help working on it, something along those lines, just so it doesn't fall through the cracks.
That's why I was wondering whether we actually sign this tonight or not, unless we get.
Well.
I mean,
I don't mind
one of the
holding
things
on
is
to
this.
it until we get something that spells out how we're gonna keep that from just kind of blending into its constituent neighbors, which it could. Yeah.
So, I mean, we can provide the additional documentation as far as long-term maintenance. I mean, from a parcel perspective, the dimensions are going to be staked with iron pins, so at least
What's
we
the
know
plan?
that.
Who that goes to work every day is gonna be responsible for that happening? That's the thing.
I would offer this. I think we need to, in the same vein, but notify those 5 immediate abutters that we are accepting, we are signing the deed, and this is in fact town-owned property. It will be maintained, so that they're on notice. I'd probably even register that notice. And then we can establish
Yeah.
internally.
We should have the lawyers write that letter, because if we just say something like it shall be maintained and then it's not maintained, are we helping the cause or?
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's where also, once Martin's back, we can also review this, because I know a lot of these encroachment issues and potential encroachment issues with those property owners were discussed with the developer, with the planning board, with the planning department to make sure that there wasn't. So at least for the next meeting, we can bring back more information for the board, make sure that we know that either we have a plan in place for maintaining, but then also notice has been provided to make sure that the abutters aren't caught unawares. Not everyone's going to attend town meeting, and they may not be aware of that, but at least provide that level of communication.
So what are we gonna do, have this brought back to us when we have a little bit of that fleshed out?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I'll take that back then.
So no motion tonight?
No motion tonight.
I do
So
need
move on
everyone to
to,
sign this.
13th annual road race. Anything
Yes.
with you?
We just have
Yes,
to
the
read
13th, we've been contacted by the committee that they, once again, would like to use Town Hall parking
We just have to
lot
sign.
for the day of the race, which is September 19th. And we have nothing going on. We passed it on to other town departments and no comments. So if it's okay with the board, that's fine with us.
There's insurance, there's a certificate attached, right?
Mm-hmm.
Liability insurance. As long as that's attached, there it is.
No, that's different.
Yeah.
You ready for a motion?
I am, as long as we have that certificate.
I move that the board vote to approve the use of town offices parking at 37 Shattuck Street on Sunday, September 19th, 2021, to park cars associated with Littleton Road Race.
Second.
Motion been made, seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And our final agenda item, other than the minutes, is the select board schedule. And this is going to go through town meeting. So we're proposing September 6th.
Which is Labor Day.
That should be 7th. 7th. That would be a Tuesday meeting if we needed that.
For the town meeting?
Yes, for town meeting. 13th, 20th, 27th, and October 4th and 18th. And Paul, if my memory serves me, I did check the Patriot schedule. There is no Monday game, so.
Right, I did that as well, but.
Okay.
What are those dates again, Anthony? The,
September 7th, 13th, 20th, 27th, and then October 4th and 18th.
the 20th is my birthday, just so you know.
Oh, see? That's
that?
another holiday we.
Yeah,
Is that?
yeah, it's my birthday.
I'm still wondering, what is it we need these additional 2 meetings for here, working sessions? But, I mean, do we know specifically what we're going to be doing at those working sessions? We just saw the prospective warrant, and it's understandably slim.
We just have to have the dates to insert it before the warrant closes on, what's the date, the 14th?
So is this, these are in place, not anticipating there's going to be a lot we have to do there, but just to make sure we file things, or get things to
Correct.
statutorily, okay. fine.
For all those things that come up at the last minute.
Well, I think it's more meeting filing deadlines, right?
Right, it's meeting that deadline of get everything in before we have to close the warrant and hit the printer and so forth. So certainly we'll work extra hard so we'll make as few of those meetings necessary as possible.
But if we're going to schedule them as working sessions, put them on our calendars, we might as well organize them as working sessions, so we actually use them productively, too.
Yep.
All right, cool.
And there's still, I think, Mr. Chairman, to a point that you brought up earlier when we talked about goal setting, we still need to do that. We wanted to wait until our department heads were on board, so maybe one of those dates could even be used for
Yeah, there you go.
a goal session.
Tuesday the 7th, if we don't have anything else coming up that date, because it's kind of an off cycle.
Yeah, we talked about doing it with department heads, if that's still the will of the board, so we
Right.
could use one of those for that purpose.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay,
All right.
I'm ready when you are.
I move that the board vote to schedule meetings on September 6th, September 13th. Sorry. I move that the board vote to schedule meetings on September 7th, 13th, 20th, and 27th, and October 4th and 18th.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, it's unanimous. As amended. All right, and we have
Whole bunch of meeting minutes.
a bunch.
Brief, but those important meetings that appointing people, department heads came in handy.
Any questions about any of the minutes?
Look good to me.
Hearing no questions, Mr. Clerk?
Okay. I move that the town, not the town.
Yeah, whatever.
I move that the select board vote to approve the meeting minutes of July 1st, July 8th, July 12th, and July 26th, 2021.
Second.
Moved, seconded by Ms. Napoli. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. And a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Seconded by Mr. Glady. I'll give it to him. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Folks, our next meeting is August 23rd. And I think that's all so Wednesday night is the meeting in this room to discuss 500 King Street. A lot of exciting things going on. Please, not sure how much room we're going to have in here because there's going to be a lot of boards attending.
Tune in.
We anticipate, but please do tune in on LCTV. Thank you very much to Mark and LCTV, and have a great night, folks.